Look at all these leaves. Who's going to help me rake up all these leaves? Can you help me rake up all these leaves? I'm going to need more coffee if I'm going to rake up all these leaves. Maybe Teddy Bear can help rake up leaves. Come on, Teddy Bear. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Say hello. This is Teddy Bear. Hey, buddy. Well, I got to do a lesson. So we'll go for a walk in a little bit, okay? Set my coffee here. All right, we're going to learn how to be producers and directors. And over the years, I've worked with dozens of producers and directors all across the country. And the cool thing about producing and directing is it's one area of television that has some pretty good job security. A lot of the producers and directors I worked with are still here in North Carolina, Raleigh or Charlotte or Greensboro, but a lot of them have moved on to other parts of the country, working in Los Angeles, New York, Philly, or Seattle. And a lot of those producers work what we call freelance, similar to what I do when I work for ESPN or Fox Sports. My regular full-time job is a teacher, but somebody may hire me to do a race or a ball game, and I work just that event as a freelancer. So many of you probably will never even consider going into television, but there are former students right now working in Los Angeles that have their own businesses, working with photography and videography, some of them doing high-end commercials and music videos, others just starting out doing weddings. So the key to being a good producer or director is to be organized. And we're going to talk about the difference in producers and directors in a live show or event versus a taped series or filmed movie, either in studio or on location. Now, if you're a producer at a local station, your main two responsibilities are content and timing. Everything in your show is timed to the second, whether it's the 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock news, or a national show like American Idol. The producer of that show is in control exactly how long the open is going to last. Comes out with music and a wide shot of the crowd, people yelling and screaming. The producer is in charge of that entire rundown, everything step by step that goes into the show, and how long that first block. Shows are divided into blocks between commercial breaks on the show or newscast, or the same is true for live sporting events. Obviously, those breaks depend on the timeout or what's going on in the basketball, football, or baseball game. Sports made me remember that the Tar Heels and Steelers are on, but instead of watching the game, I'm here with you because I love you guys so much. Yeah. Okay, so pull up a rocking chair. I've got a rocking chair for you. You guys can rock right along with me as we go through this lesson. Steelers and Tar Heels games are live events, just like American Idol Live or the shows you might watch in the evening. During a live show or event, the producer is in charge of every second of that show. Content and timing, the order of the show, which is the rundown, and then everything that leads up to the first commercial block, the second commercial block. Okay, so the show content is blocks in between commercials. That's very different than the producer for a movie or TV show or series. The movie producer is in charge of the money. The first person they hire is the director. So they've got to raise the money for these multi-million-dollar movies or TV shows. The directors are also very different roles. The producer hires the director for both live shows and events and movies and TV series. But the director on a live show or event may never see the on-camera talent, may never have interaction with them. They're back in the control room in charge of the camera people, the audio people, the lighting, all the things that go on behind the scenes. Whereas the director on a movie set or TV studio show or set, they're right out there with the actors, the talent, trying to get them to give them the emotion they need for the different shots. They're in charge of composition and sequencing, what camera angles they're going to use. Is it going to be a 2-shot with 2 people in the shot, 3 people in the shot? What is the action going to happen, and what is the camera angle? So producers and directors have very different roles in live shows like your local newscasts or your ball games or American Idol versus big-time Hollywood movies. Put my coffee over here so I don't knock it down. So when it comes time for you guys to be your producers and directors of your own scene, the first thing you need to do is come out with an outline. That's kind of the broad storyboard picture of who's going to be in your scene, what's going to happen, where are you going to shoot it, and really important, how. You've got to keep it simple, silly. Is it realistic? Can you get this done? You know your friends, the people at school or back in your neighborhood. You've got to have very specific word-for-word directions for them if you're going to be able to get your scene done. After you've got the broad idea of, okay, I want to do this scene in my neighborhood with my friends, and we're going to do it on the weekend. So you've got that part. Now you need your script, which is very specific audio and video. Is there going to be music? Exactly what music? No, I just want to come up with some sort of scary song. No, go on YouTube and find the exact song you want. And are there going to be some sound effects? Do you need some crashing or screams or something in your scene? And then your stars, your friends, your classmates at school, they need to know exactly word for word what to say, or it's going to take you forever to get a simple 1 or 2 minute scene done. All right? Then after you figured out exactly what you want said and heard, where's the camera going to be? Is it going to be high angle, low angle? What's going to be the point of view of the camera shot? Wide shots mean WS, close up, the most important. Remember, James Cameron and Steven Spielberg will tell you, movies, scenes live and die right here. People like to identify with other people, other characters in the scenes. Medium shot, whether it's a 2, 3, or 4 shot, that simply means how many people are in your shot. And then low angle, you could abbreviate LA, or high angle, are you looking through the trees? Where's the camera at? You want to think visually, so when it comes time to shoot, instead of taking an hour or 2, you can get it done in 15 or 20 minutes. Okay. Then you want to figure out what type of scene you want to do. Is it the spooky scene? Is it a comedy? Is it dramatic? Those are genres of scenes, and you've probably heard that word before in English class. And the 2 broadest genres are comedies or dramas. Within all of those, there's all kinds of subsets. Is it a romantic comedy? Is it action-adventure? Is it a horror movie or thriller, suspenseful? What type of genre is your scene going to fit into? Regardless of whether it's a comedy or drama, all scenes share some common parts. The first step is the rising action. The beginning of your story. What does it lead up to? All these things within your scene are the plot. What happens in your scene. And regardless of whether it's a comedy or drama, all scenes have conflict. And they may have several different conflicts, but the series of conflicts or struggles, whether they're funny or serious, lead up to the one main point, which is the climax. Does the hero live or die? Does he save the world? What happens at the climax of the story? And then after that is the falling action. And a lot of times that can lead to what's going to happen next. Is there going to be a sequel or prequel? And we'll talk a little bit more about those in a few minutes. All right, so if you want to have a good scene that's entertaining and hold your target audience attention, you need to have some suspense, a twist, a surprise, something that, oh, I didn't see that coming. And music and sound effects. If you guys have all watched Friday the 13th or Halloween, you know that the music adds a lot of suspense, a lot of interest to your scene. Sound effects can also be very helpful and key in building suspense in your scene. Now, the main character in your scene is the protagonist. Now, a lot of people say hero, but the protagonist, the main character, doesn't always have to be a good guy. One of Denzel Washington's best movies, Training Day, he was a bad cop, but he was still the protagonist. And the antagonist is what causes a struggle or conflict for the protagonist. There can be many antagonists, and they don't always have to be human. They can be a tornado, a natural disaster, aliens. Anything like that can be antagonists, and there can be many different ones challenging or presenting conflict to the protagonist, the main character in the show. I just videotaped The Wizard of Oz. So you have several protagonists there. The main one, Dorothy, Scarecrow, Tin Man, and the Cowardly Lion. And then there are a bunch of antagonists. Those scary flying monkeys. Don't like the flying monkeys. And the Wicked Witch. A series of antagonists challenging Dorothy and the group on the Yellow Brick Road. So conflicts are what struggles between the protagonist and antagonist, even in comedies. Last slide. Okay. So after you've had your climax and falling action, is there going to be a sequel? What happens next? The most famous series of sequels were the Rocky movies. Rocky 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 12. Okay. Movies about the famous boxer. And then Star Wars in the late 70s, early 80s came out with 3 sequels. And then they did something really cool. They went back to before those 3 movies and had a prequel. What happened before those? And the interesting difference is the first Star Wars movies really grabbed viewers' attentions by identifying with the characters. Princess Leia, Yoda, Luke Skywalker. The 3 prequels relied a lot more on special effects, and it was a struggle for folks to identify with Anakin Skywalker, who later became Darth Vader. One key episode or key element of all these scenes is having a cliffhanger. What gets you to tune in and come back and watch the next movie. Back in the early 70s, the Batman and Robin series always had a cliffhanger. Is the hero going to live or die? So tune in, same bat time, same bat channel, which got us kids to come back and watch it again the next day. Dallas, a series in the mid-80s, had the most watched cliffhanger in history. Who Shot JR? The main protagonist of the series, who again was a bad guy, JR, was shot at the end of one series, and hundreds of millions of people tuned in the next season to see Who Shot JR. So, should be fun. Working on your series. Maybe one day you'll be the next Steven Spielberg or James Cameron. Let's go see what the score of the Tar Heels game is.